Hello again, welcome to the boundary line at the Netpar Training Centre. Drizzle in the air, lots to get through as well. It was a fairly hefty week in British Rugby League last week with the confirmation of the 14 teams in expanded Super League and the IMG scores as well, all revealed at the end of the week, Thursday and Friday. So let's get some reaction with our Managing Director Mike Ford and our Chairman Bill Quinn. Let's get straight into it. Bill, first of all, the big announcement I suppose came on the Friday. We already knew, or we had a feel for what was going to happen with IMG, and then we were waiting, like everyone else, on the Super League news. It didn't happen this time. What was your immediate reaction?
Well, you have that slight bit of disappointment because you're in it to win it, you're in it to be in it, and you want to progress. So from my point of view, yeah, you get that slight bit of disappointment, but at the same time, I do think personally that the three teams that have gone up are the right teams to go up, and that was pleasing, and I wish them all the best, for next season. And as I've always said, none of us were ready. I don't believe they're ready. We weren't ready. But obviously, we would have jumped to it, and I'm sure they're going to jump to it as well now. And for me, there was a slight bit of comfort as well in the fact that, and knowledge that we will now progress this season. We will go forward as we have always done. It will give us another year to put plans in place, and we'll be better. We're in a better place, and we'll be better standing for what we need to do for going up. So a lot of positives, really.
Yeah, we'll perhaps come back to that point on how it's allowed this opportunity to continue the building and the upward trajectory. I'm just interested, Mike, your immediate reaction. You obviously spoke to Tony Sutton from the Rugby Football League at the end of last week. What were your emotions like on the Friday?
I actually thought when he rang me, we knew obviously Thursday afternoon, evening time, we knew because he rang me up before then. So, but the way the conversation went in the first 10 seconds, 20 seconds, I thought, hey, we've got this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
what was it he said that made you think that?
Well, it was just so positive. He didn't look like he was delivering bad news and stuff like that. But so. Look, we didn't get him, but he wanted to congratulate us on a super league bid. They commented on Bill's commitment and how fantastic that was to the club, and that they had 5 rounds, and I suspect if you survived the first round, then the clubs got chopped along the way. So we were in the last round. So my understanding is that we were there with Toulouse and York.
And that's phenomenal in the short space of time that we've been working together on this project at Oldham to be in that position.
Yeah, it is. I think it just shows not just the ambition of the club, but the smartness of the club. Bill and Jim Minton and Liam Norbury over the financial side, and everyone, on what we're doing on the rugby side of things. The club is to be able to be in that position and get to the last round after 2.5 years. I think it's phenomenal. I talk about Avro and our first games there, and we're light years away from that. So a little bit disappointed. I'm not too sure. We were ready. Bill's already said it that the other teams are not ready. But would we have got the slot then? We would be in chaos now, trying to sort things out, but we would have done it and stuff, and it would have been exciting. But we'll just keep building slowly, taking our time, possibly look to go full-time next year.
Right. So,
yeah, then that's what was always the plan, that 26, 27, 28 was when we're going to make a real good push for Super League.
That's interesting. Just on that potential full-time in a year's time, what would go into that thinking? What would make you commit? Where would we need to be in this time next year for you guys to think, actually, if we go full time now, what would it need? Would it need a cast iron guarantee of, right, if we finish X, Y and Z, we're in Super League? Would it be something like that?
No, not necessarily. I don't think so. I think it's where we are as a club. It's always looking at ourselves and the strides we've made off the field. Blimey, we've got loads to go, and the strides we made on the field, and again we've got loads to build on. I just think we're ready. We're ready to, if you look at the team that won the championship this year were full time. Toulouse, Wakefield were full time last year. I know we're going to compete against London, and they're going full time, which is a great challenge for us. So you know, the evolution of the club is, I think, you know, whether we get to Super League next year or the years after, this is what we need to do.
I was actually, for what it's worth, really pleased for Toulouse, because I know how hard they have worked at this, and it seemed like everything was stacking up against them, and they got it done, and all the noise was around London. There's going to be a lot of noise around London. I think we know that because of the NRL names that are coming in. Just on that point that you mentioned at the top, Bill, about yes, we wanted it. You know, the downward account. We went for it like everyone else, but perhaps we weren't ready. Is there a counter argument that if we had got it, it could have actually stunted our progress a little bit? What I mean by that is, had we got in there and not got it right in Super League next year, and the results weren't good every week, it might have knocked our progress back. You know, no fans want to turn up and see us losing every week.
Yeah, but lucky enough, neither do we.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely hate losing.
yeah, so I think we would have, and what we've done is we've not just every year sort of put the team out there at the beginning of the season. We've actually added to the team as we've gone along, as we've seen where, you know, things have panned out, whether that be with injuries or whatever. We've carried on recruiting. You know, as Mike says, there's always recruitment. It's ongoing all the time. So the one thing now about Oldham is that whether we were in Super League or whether we're in Championship, and whether we're thinking that it's going to be London because the first, you know, the full time, there's going to be lots of good clubs there that's going to be near the top. We have to look at Oldham. We have to look at what we're doing, and all we're interested in is progressing on and off the pitch. So for me, if we'd have got into Super League, I couldn't sit there every week and just watched us, you know, getting hammered every week. So we would have attended to that, and we would have dealt with that, and we might have had the first so many months of that situation. But I think, but I think we would have, with Mike's ability and other people at the club, we would have been able to address that issue and then progress again, because that's what we will always do. Is we're not going to sit back and, you know, sulk and moan about the situation. We will always, and what's brilliant about the club is there's people around like myself and Mike and other people who are always looking at what can we do better. We're not really interested in what anybody else is doing. It's what we can do better for this club and how we can progress. And if we're not progressing, then hold on a minute. Let's look at ourselves first before we look at anybody else. Yeah,
I want to talk about recruitment in just a sec. Just a couple more points on Super League. What I loved on the Friday, and actually it took me back a little bit, was how overwhelmingly positive the reaction was once we put out the statement that we did, congratulating those who did make it and reaffirming ours and Bill's commitment to this. There's absolutely no question that people are behind this. The response was so good to where we were and how we had fared in the process, which must stand us in good stead, even experiencing that process.
Yeah, I went to a dinner on Friday at Madlaw. Terry Flanagan organised it, a rugby dinner, you know, marking it to raise money for charity first and foremost for Madlaw. But you know, the theme was the Ashes, and everybody in the room was from the rugby community, and they were so positive. You know, that was on a Friday. We got found out we weren't in Super League, but everyone was so positive to keep backing this club. We know that it still needs time. 20 years is a long time to get back the spectators, but it's going to come. It's going to come. It was such a refreshing evening for me, because everybody who came up to me was like very super positive, and I suppose I don't go on social media much, but that's what Facebook tells us as well, isn't it?
No, the response certainly from the Ruffians fans was very good. So just a final point on it, and I guess the elephant in the room, if you like, in terms of what was put out by Rugby League Commercial, the RFL Super League, in terms of what things look like moving forward. We still don't know how you get into Super League next year or in 2 years' time. No change as it stands with IMG, with the discussion around promotion, relegation, whether or not there's even going to be a process like this one again whereby a panel will convene. We don't know. No. We don't actually know where we are at the moment in that regard.
No, we don't. And again, I think that's, as what we said before, what we've got to do in the meantime is just look at ourselves and progress, both with the IMG situation, with the on-field situation, with the off-field situation. And if you think about that, that'll take care of itself then. That'll take care of the IMG situation. We are hampered because of the setup of the IMG and how far it goes back. So now we can look to just keep going forward because we'll be in control of that ourselves. We'll be in control of the IMG where it is. If it changes, I can only see it changing for the better.
Yeah.
So everything will be super positive with that. And all we need now is things out of our control. To a certain degree, some people would argue that point is we need the support of Oldham. We need people to get on board with us, because what you don't want to do is you don't have Super League looking at us and thinking, well, look at their attendances. We need to be up there strong, and we are doing everything as a club to try and do our best. And I know some people see it just at the moment. We've gone to a situation of designated seats, and there's been some negativity around that.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, but we need to talk about that and explain to people what our thoughts are on that and the reason for doing that.
Yeah.
So long as we can take care of the stuff in our control, I think that things will pan out in the way we want it.
So on IMG, we talked to IMG at length, I think, last time, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago when we sat down here, so we don't necessarily need to go back over that. But now we have the figures, the data in front of us. I guess there's two ways of looking at this. We were one of only, I think, 13 teams to improve. And we went up for the first time under IMG to a grade B. Two massive positives, I would say. But then you look at the other side of it and say, okay, we're the top 14 as it stands now, IMG, and we're still like some way off that, aren't we? In terms of our points.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get the score. I'm going to ring up IMG up this week and look what our score would have been for the last 2 years. If you remember what I said last year was 24 season alone, it could have been 10.22. So next year we'll get rid of the old regimes year when they look back, and it'll be just the 24, 25, 26. So we expect to shoot up next year, just like Bradford has shot up this year. We expect to shoot up again. As it stands, top 14 teams next year will go into Super League. Top 14 IMG scores, but we've got a meeting on Friday with the Championship clubs. That'll be discussed, and then the council meetings round about December. That'll start the process for, like Bill just mentioned, IMG's changing, probably staying, but changing in some way where the performance is reflected better.
And I suppose one final point on IMG, that another positive is, and there's a degree of strategy there which Bradford played very well. There's a discussion of, okay, there's points there for us, some quite easy wins points. We just need to decide when it's worth going for them. If I'll give you an example from my perspective, media side. There's a quarter of a point there if we decided we wanted to stream matches, for example. You would say at the moment that probably won't make much difference to our grading, so let's focus on bums on seats. But there are things like that where we can just say, right, let's go and do that, and we'll have those points.
Yeah. And the other thing's a big screen, and the director's box needs enclosing and all things like that we can just fix like that. And like you just said, George, it's the timing of them things.
Talk recruitment in a sec. You just jogged my memory with season tickets. So should we just touch on that from a commercial avenue, because there's all sorts going on in the background. You probably saw the little explainer video I did at Boundary Park the other week, trying to answer some of your questions about season tickets. And as Bill says, probably the main one we're getting is designated seating, and why designated seating. That the season ticket take-up has been good. A reminder that early bird discount window is till November 3rd, so make sure you don't miss that. But from your point of view, Bill, I don't know if you want to just try and elaborate on the points I was trying to make about why we have made the decisions that we have going into 26.
Yeah, I mean, what you're trying to do is look at everything that goes on in a season, and look at what were the good points, what were the bad points, and what can you improve for the fan experience, basically. And although fans don't get to hear or see what other fans think and what's happening, sometimes it's individuals or it's just a collective group look at things. So I'll give you, for instance, you had some of our fans like to change ends. But the trouble is, that's great when there's lots of room and maybe you've not got as many, but if we're trying to progress And for instance, if we'd have been in Super League, the amount of fans that would have been coming, that stand would have been full. How do you do that? You can't do it at any other stadium. So that would have been impossible to do. Also, on top of that, we have had fans after many games complain that they went to the toilet or they went to get a drink at half time, and when they came back, the seats were taken.
Similar to those in Broadway hospitality, coming out after the meal and not having their seats.
Correct. So the bottom line is, it caused quite a few problems, because problems that other people don't realise, because sometimes people go, oh, someone sat in my seat, they don't say anything, they go looking for seats elsewhere, and then they make the complaint. So we sort of looked at it, what is the progression? Well, the progression is, if we were getting into Super League, if we were getting bigger crowds, we'd have to have designated seats. So I know it doesn't suit everybody, and there's nothing we'll be able to do that you're going to actually accommodate. This other one where there's 4 people that come all the time that have got season tickets, but sometimes in different games we have some friends coming. So what we've said to people is, well, if you're a season ticket holder and you've got 2 extra friends coming, speak to us, let us know, and what we'll do is we'll try and accommodate you somewhere else where the 6 of you can sit together. We then know that your seats are empty and we can put somebody else in your seats. It's more work for us, but we're prepared to do the work to try and give that bit better fan experience for everybody. There's no way we want any fan to be disappointed when they come to Oldham. We're trying to do everything we can to give them the experience, make sure that they had a great day, because we can't in one hand beg for bums on seats and think about Super League and think about, everything that we have to do for IMG, and then not listen or not do what we can for the fans. So we are listening, and we are prepared to listen with what's in our control. Some of the requests that come to us, we just can't put men on the moon. And that's what it feels like sometimes.
We'd have a good go though, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we try. We try.
But the key point, just listening to that, is, we want to work on this together. So if you still have queries, questions, either pick up the phone, ring the office. Bill might even answer himself.
You never know.
You never know. Or David, or send us a message on social media. Casey Smith or myself will pick it up, and we will get back to you. We want to help. We want you with us on this ride. So do feel pleased that you can come to us with any concerns, any queries, any questions, any feedback once the season starts as well. And we're trying to get this as best as we can for everyone, not just for us. I think it's fair to say on that.
What I would say is, I would say to people who are just pondering on whether to get the season tickets, get the season tickets, because with the designated seats, you don't want to end up being disappointed that you try and get your season ticket with the seats where you like sitting, and then you've not got your seats. So to me, it's get the season tickets as soon as you can. You know where you're sitting. You now know the situation that if you've got extra people joining you, we can accommodate and we can sort things out. Same with the 450 Club, with the pie and peas and everything else. It's not just pie and peas, it's having the environment inside the Broadway suite, it's having the presentations, it's seeing people in there every week. It's more or less, that's why we call it the 450 Club. And a lot of people that we have spoken to and a lot of people at other clubs think it's a fantastic idea. And again, that's selling out. So please, we don't want people to be disappointed. So if you are pondering on wanting it, get into it as quick as you can, because I would say in another week to a fortnight at the very most, there won't be any 450. So, even if you want to reserve it, look, we know how tight things are with people, with money and everything else. If people come on and say, look, I can't afford it just at the moment, but is there any chance that you can reserve that for me and take me details? We'll work with you, we'll do something so that you guys can get what you want. We're always here to work with the fans, and we've done that from day one, and we'll continue to do that.
And during the early bird window, November the 3rd, a reminder is when those discounted prices will change. You do have the spread the cost option as well, which hopefully will help you get the seats you want, get the package you want, and spread the cost a little bit and pay a little bit later if you don't have it right now. Right, recruitment, with the limbo that we were put in, awaiting which league we were going to be playing in, Mike. We discussed last time we kind of paused recruitment, whether to bring in certain players for Super League or strengthen for an assault on the Championship once again. We now can progress in that respect. So I know a lot of fans will be excited to hear from you is what that timeline will look like with the players, I think, coming back in a few weeks to pre-season training.
Yeah, I think we had a list of players. We've still got the list of players, but some have dropped away already.
Right.
Some dropped away on Friday because they had Super League offers. They wanted to stay with Oldham, but they obviously wanted to play in Super League as well. So, but we have got other options that we'll be announcing soon. Hopefully a couple this week, if we can get the timings right. And then, you know, before they start back on the 10th of November, we're going to look to have about 25, 26 players in our squad that we can announce. Everybody will have our media day again where we announce our squad and stuff. So it's a little bit different next year, George, with loans and stuff. It's a little bit easier to get loans now. So, you know, along the way, we just had a chat this morning about it. Along the way, we'll put a good competitive squad to do what we did last year, get into the playoffs. But
is
you know,
is that a smaller squad than we had last?
Yeah.
This year, last season.
Yeah. So we started with 30 players last year. So we'll go about 25, 26 this year's on the understanding that we can get some loans in easily. And the conversation we had this morning was, you know, we'll put a squad together to try and win it and be in the playoffs and everything. But along the way, we'll understand what the league's looking at along the way, and we keep on recruiting towards the playoffs again. To you know, there's some great teams in that championship, but it's going to come down to the grand final. Always does. It always come down to one game, and we've got to put ourselves as the season goes along, in the best position to get there.
So pre-season, the players returning. What, 10th did you say?
10th.
With signings imminent, so make sure you're across all our social channels. We'll deliver that news in our own unique way. So make sure you're subscribed and sharing and liking and all that kind of thing. That'll help with the IMG as well. Any other business commercially? Benidorm Bash January, I should mention.
Benidorm Bash, we've got the boxes. They're just starting now. They'll be coming out shortly. The boxes at Boundary Park, some really good deals on them. Player sponsorships, new kits coming. That'll be on sale for Christmas. There's all sorts of things that are going to come. There's the 1,000 Club. We're going to introduce something for the first time. What it will be is £3 a week. As many of our supporters, our loyal supporters, you pay £3 a week and you go into a draw, and 10 names will be pulled out of the draw for a box, a meal and a box and presentations for every one of our home games. There will also be a weekly cash prize draw. So we're in the process of just setting that up at the moment, and that'll really go well to that particular pot is going to go to recruitment and for bringing in the best players that we possibly can. So it's a very important one, that. So we're coming up with new initiatives, and that'll be out. And at the end of the day, we're not here to panic. We're not here to rush into anything. You know, as Mike said, we'll put 25, 26 players out there. If we need to assess and we need to bring in more as the season goes on to make sure we are where we want to be, we will do, and that's it. We're not. There's no way that off the field we're going to take a backward step, George.
And what I should mention as a final positive, unless there's any other business from you, Mike, is that since we last sat down here, we've been named Business of the Year as well, which was another hugely positive recognition of the hard work behind the scenes here.
Yeah, 1 to 5 million, and that's just been a collective of everybody that works at the club, from yourselves, media, all the volunteers, Dave and Michelle, and everybody in the office, Chris, Mike, myself, you know, the first team shot, everyone that works at the club, you know, from the kit man, from Sam, you know, right the way through. Everybody at the club has that pivotal part to play in the success, and that was taken into account on winning the Business of the Year award, 1 to 5 million at Oldham, which we were very proud of. And you know, it just shows the growth and the platform that we're on, and we, you know, where we can go, you know, further on. So yeah, we're very pleased to win that.
Yeah, it was a really nice moment. Any other business from you, Mike? 3
strips next year, 150th year.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're having.
Designed them yourself?
Slightly, haven't we?
We designed one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did you?
We designed the 150th one. Yeah, of course we do. Yeah.
Some people might think we're colourblind.
Well, let's wait till we see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Great to see you both. Thanks for sparing your time. Are you off seeing agents, players later?
Yeah, that was a phone call.
Was it?
Yeah.
There you go. Hot off the press while we were filming the Boundary Line. Agent players ringing Mike Ford. We'll leave it there. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
catch up again very, very soon. Players return for pre-season. Look out for new signings as well. And thank you for watching. We'll see you very shortly.